Welcome everybody. Hi everybody. Thank you for being there with us to this Impact Week session. Today we'll talk about textile and ask ourselves, is the textile green revolution business value? So this session is meant to raise questions about this specific topic and to design the action that will address these questions. So I am very happy to have with us today Ciara Kate from Patagonia. So Ciara Kate is lead material developer at Patagonia. So hi Ciara.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for being with us actually. And we also have Alice Perez Morias, Innovation Business Developer at Morpho, but also in charge of the investors relation. So hi, Alice.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be with you again.
And finally, you have me, Julien Clavassa, Innovation Business Developer at Morpho. So Morpho is a company dedicated to innovation. So we support the emergence of new ventures, new concept products, and new collaboration schemes. We are ecosystem designers and operators, and we work with large companies, but also startups, research organizations, and investors. We are deep tech experts, and we engage into sustainability and positive impact for the environment as well as the society. So I hope you are ready to talk about textiles and especially the textile of the future. So I think everybody remembers the Back to the Future film, where the story and Story in the Future was took place in 2015, and we thought that the garment of the future was this kind of auto-adjustable jacket. So let's see how it is, and let's see if the garment of the future is finally this, or if it's slightly different. So this session is part of our Impact Week 2021, which started May the 20th, and is organized in partnership with two European collaborative projects, which are Smarties, aiming at promoting and enabling the development of flexible and wearable electronics, as well as the program C-Voucher, aiming at enabling a circular value chain and their replication across Europe and vertical businesses. We are very happy to be in partnerships with the European Commission as well, and the EU Green Week, which is an opportunity to create a common action and to reach the ambition of zero pollution and toxic-free environment in the coming years. So the Impact Week, as I said, started the 20th of May with Julien Boursery from Brick Construction, where we talked about circularity in the use case of the construction industry. On the 25th of May, during the C-Voucher Circular Economy Power, the Professor Paul Ekins gave us a really interesting keynote speaking about the policies to shift from a linear to a circular material economy. On the 27th of May, we had with us Andrew Shannon from Circularity Capital, who talked to us about the challenge regarding the investment in circularity. And last week, we had Cyril Griffiths from EIF, who talked to us about impact investment, and the growth drivers related to impact investment. So all of these sessions are available in replays on our website, www.bluemorpho.com/impactweek. Now we are entering the second phase of this Impact Week today with Ciara from Patagonia. We will have next week Gaël from Arjo Wiggins that will talk to us about the future of paper and the link between paper, electronics, and circularity. On the 16th of June, you will meet 3 impact investors that will pitch to you their investment strategy, and you will have a new chance to discover the with Monaco for startups to engage in the development of smart marina across the globe. So that being said, We wanted to know before going further, what is today your weather mode? So Alice, could you please start the question?
So actually, this webinar will be quite interactive. So you should now see popping up on your screen a question. So this is to get to know you, know your mood, how you feel today on this sunny day, at least in Paris. I don't know how it is in your city where you're at, but this is just to be able to show you how it works, how you should interact with us. So we will have a few polls today like this, and this is quite a warm-up to make you try our tool. So I see that most of you are voting. I will give you a few more seconds right before we close the poll right now. So thank you very much all for voting. And
thank you, Alice. And as Alice said, yes, this session will be interactive all along the way. So stay here. We have questions for you. So our speaker today is Ciara, lead material developer at Patagonia. Ciara has a long history with textile and a long passion with trims and knits and etc. And she also is passionate by innovation. So everything combined makes Ciara the reference in materials for textiles. Especially, it's really important for us also to have Patagonia today, because Patagonia is a reference model in terms of sustainability. So that being said, I think we have the right casting with us to talk about sustainability in textile and smart textiles. So according to the audience, I wanted to know what keeps Ciara up at night. So what are the challenges for a company in textiles or in providing outdoor items? So Alice, could you start the poll?
Sorry, yeah. So we wanted to know what you think keeps Ciara up at night. So we have several challenges that we wanted to propose to you, and according to you, what are the main challenges for Ciara? So first, to ensure the recycling of every item sold by Patagonia, or is it to develop long-lasting and resource-efficient materials? Maybe it's to always propose new, smart, and sustainable products to give clients access to sustainable ways of performing, or the nightmare for Ciara to see the comeback of the low-rise jeans. So
yeah, thank you.
You can select several answers on this one.
Yeah, so while you are responding, I will ask the question to you, Ciara. So what are the current challenges in sportswear? What is your daily life actually?
Ooh, in sportswear, really everything from function to where the materials come from, longevity, recyclability, really the whole loop, because when you make things for sport, it needs to be functional, which adds a layer because it's one of complexity. It's one thing to make clothing, but then it's another thing to make something functional for a long duration in usually, more harsh environments, and then still keep all those sustainability goals.
Yeah, so regarding these questions, I think we can close the poll. Regarding these questions, all of them are quite true, right?
All of them are very true, including the low-rise jeans. It's not a beautiful time for America if the low-rise jeans come back.
Well, I think we all have known this kind of jeans. We all know the skinny child. So I think we can share the results of the poll to see what think the audience. So in the end,
go ahead, Julia.
So most of the attendees are saying that what keeps you up at night is that to develop long-lasting and resource-efficient material, or to always propose new, smart, and sustainable products, but also the recycling and to give client access to sustainable ways of product. They are not that worried about the comeback of low-rise jeans. So what is your feeling
Confident
about
people, I love it.
Yeah. What is your feeling about this outcome?
What was the question? Sorry.
Sorry, I was asking what is your feeling about the outcome of the poll?
Oh yeah, no, I think it's very true. Especially Patagonia is known for trying to make durable, long-lasting apparel, not be part of fast fashion. So that's more iconic for Patagonia. And now this circularity challenge and repairability and even rentals and this whole expansion of what does that actually mean on a bigger scale is more new. So I think that makes sense why most people thought about durable goods, because that's what Patagonia has been known for the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully not forever though. That will change as we dive a little deeper, hopefully.
Yeah. So let's go deeper in the topic of circularity, which is our main topic today. So the circularity aims at addressing the challenge of climate change, of course, and textile is considered as one of the priority fields regarding circular economy and its impact and the impact of textile on the environment. Also, according to the European Commission in its circular economy plan. So we wanted to ask the audience today, what are the drivers for circularity in textiles?
Yeah.
So you should see the question.
Yeah, so you should now see the question on your screen. So according to you, what are the drivers for circularity in textiles? So again, once again, you can select multiple answers. The goal is for you to really select the ones that are the most appropriate. So the first one could be customer demand or regulation, development of e-commerce, or enabling technologies.
So while people are still answering, I will ask the question to Ciara. So according to you, what are the drivers for circularity? What will allow the change toward more sustainable practices?
I'm really seeing right now, especially with COVID, something that's really helped push sustainability and circularity have been the fact that resources have just been limited around the world to get access to raw materials, or mills or cut and sew facilities are running at reduced capacity. And it was a real moment, I think, for the industry to be like, wait a minute, you know, this happened because of COVID, but, you know, maybe this might happen again for the future. How are we going to address this finite supply of materials in the world for the future? And that usually involves circularity, like use what exists in the world as much as possible before you start reaching for some things that are new, which has been a really cool shift to see even in just this last year.
It's true that resources are getting getting rarer and rarer. It's not only true for textiles. So what would you say, or what would you advise to another textile company to follow the path of Patagonia and start implementing more circular, sustainable approaches when developing products?
Yeah, it gets really, it can get really complex. So at Patagonia, we try and approach it from a few different ways. So first, we want the materials we're making to be as recyclable as possible. Because while no one knows the future, right now we're seeing on the horizon, there's really only technology to recycle specific blends of materials or one type of material. Like there's recyclers who accept only polyester fabrics and materials, another one only nylon, or someone else maybe anything cellulose, cotton, linen, hemp, rayon, any of those types of materials. So we wouldn't want to be building a product that was a cotton, nylon, polyester blend, because then nobody wants it. No recycler can really take it. So picking those materials that are good inputs for a recycler is our step one. And then our step two is how do we make it durable, but then also repairable? Because we want whatever we're building to be out in the world for as long as the life is possible. So what can we do so if a zipper breaks, it's easy to replace? If a button gets removed, or falls off, are we able to help the customer get a new button? Or if there's a tear, is it easy repairable? And then after that, we do accept back all of our garments, which I know is not necessarily an option for all brands and retailers, but either partnering with someone who accepts used garments, or if you can, take them back and offer that service to your customers to get the garments to the recycler at its end of life. So there's opportunities and partners for every single one of those steps. It's a
Yes.
group effort.
Yeah, so what you encourage is that it's the ecosystem that has to engage together and aligned towards sustainability more than one brand or one textile recycling company to try to propose these products. And what I suggest now is that we show the results of the poll. So we see that most of the attendees are saying that regulation will drive the change towards circularity, but also the customer demand. Less attendees are saying that e-commerce or enabling technologies will help or drive the change towards circularity. What is your vision about these regulation helping driving the shift?
Yeah, no, we're excited about some of the dedication that we're seeing, especially in Europe. It's not as much here in the US yet, of really pushing companies to own the impact they're having on the environment for the products they're creating. And I think that's just so key, because often companies, unless they're forced to, they don't address issues. So by having regulations, that's going to push companies to dedicate resources to address the impact their products are having. And then the next piece is the technology, because there are a lot of complex materials or multiple types of materials that go into so many products we interact with every day. So we need those technology partners to help all the companies achieve those goals. Because it's one thing to have a regulation of like, hey, you need to fix the problem you're creating, but then no resources to actually be able to do that. So it's regulations coming first, which is good, but now it's time we need to help the technology partners, the startups, the new companies to help us fix these problems, because there's not a lot of solutions right now.
Yeah, and regarding the role of the customers, what is the position of Patagonia there? Do you serve more environmental conscious customers, and that are the target of people that you sell to, or are you driven by or do you try to drive the change of the consumption of your consumer?
We definitely try and drive a lot of the change. We like to not be greedy with innovation either. So if we find a solution to something, we want to share it with other brands and companies so the demand can grow. And we definitely use the marketing platforms and our great marketing team to talk to the consumer about why we're using different materials and the difference of what we're trying to do compared to maybe something you can buy at a local store. But really the ideal hope for circularity on a large scale is that the consumer doesn't know any different. They can go to any store and things are just made out of more responsible and circular materials, because we also acknowledge it's a big burden to put on the consumer to have to research and look things up and, well, should I buy this? They're already thinking about so many things when it comes to their clothing that they put on every day. What am I going to be doing that day? What's the weather like? Is this flattering? Does this fit my size? Do I like this color? That to add another layer of, wait a minute, was this circular made or not? We're kind of hoping that we can just make that decision for the customer, and they can just start shopping and decide what they need, and the sustainability and circularity is already in the products.
Yeah. So in the end, you take your role as lead material developer as also a way to make people consume better for the planet. That's really interesting, actually.
And it just happens naturally. Even if they want the low-rise jeans, they can pick any low-rise jeans, and it's all been made with something circular.
That would be great if low-rise jeans were to come back.
Yeah.
I suggest we move to the next topic. So here again, a new question. Actually, for the audience also, if you have questions to ask to Ciara or to us, do not hesitate to type them in the question box on the right. We will be happy to take them at the end during the Q&A session. So now that being said, I have a new question for you. So what does circular economy mean for you in the textile fashion industry? So now you should see a new poll popping out on your screen.
Yes. So again, multiple choices here. So what does circular economy mean for the textile or the fashion industry? So you can have either to sell secondhand products, to recycle items and use recycled materials only, to implement leasing or renting business models, to buy locally produced articles only, or to shorten the value chain to reduce waste. So don't hesitate, choose the answers that you feel more comfortable with. And maybe while you are answering, Julien, you can start the discussion.
Yeah, so I wanted to know, as we worked since the beginning, your vision, Ciara. So what is the status of circular economy in the textile industry according to your experience at Patagonia?
It's a few of these things, actually. It's definitely part of the raw material inputs that go into things, but then, yeah, how do you keep it out there as long as possible? Like, what are you doing if it doesn't fit you anymore, or it's not your aesthetic? Maybe it's someone else's treasure and you can give it a new life and a new home. Or if it's a little damaged, is it repairable? If it's an expensive something and you're not necessarily going to wear it a lot, maybe that's something you could rent. So special occasion wear, either for like formal attire or for specific sports. Rental platforms are great because you're probably not going to get 30 uses out of something or more. So all of these different areas are part of the circular economy.
Okay, thank you. And could you share some examples of actions you implemented towards circular economy at Patagonia over the last 10 years or 15 years?
Yeah, we have our worn wear platform, and that's where anybody can give something that's gently used or needs repair, and we will repair it, and then if it needs it, or resell it. So if you don't know anyone you want to pass it on to, you can give it to us and we'll give you a store credit and try and fix it and give it its new life. We're also piloting some rental programs for more expensive, like the snow sports, so skiing, snowboarding, things that many people, you're going to go for a weekend, for a quick vacation, not necessarily something you're going to need all the time. And hopefully we can, as those rental pilots are going on, we can expand those programs to other regions and encourage just renting versus purchasing, and then it's sitting in a closet for years and then maybe it gets donated someday. And now we're also starting to dive a little deeper on the items that we do get back that are, nobody wants this, it's end of life, it's the t-shirt that everyone, you know, they might have loved, they wore it out, now it has holes, maybe they painted their house in it and it does not look good anymore, it needs to be recycled. So what can we do now with those items to get them to the recyclers to make new raw materials and back into brand new product to keep the cycle going? So we have some
Okay,
exciting things coming in August and September. So you'll have to keep your eyes out for some circular products coming up soon.
I was about to ask what was coming, what was in the drawers. So stay tuned, everybody, because Patagonia has something for all of us. I suggest we look at the results of the poll right now. And we see that people are quite balanced between second-hand products, recycled item, renting, leasing business model, or shortened value chain. They are less saying that it was buying locally produced article. I mean, we know that all of these activities were part of the circular economy. What's your vision? What would you say to the audience?
Yeah, no, those are all really good points. The buying locally, I understand why people were voting less on that one. It does get a little tricky because while we all want to support our local communities, oftentimes there's just not resources in our local community to build different products. So when there is a resource that is local to you, it's always great to take advantage of that. But the odds that we all live in some location where we can get all of our needs supplied locally is very challenging or not possible for many people. So I think it's one of those great things to always keep your eye out for things that can be done locally, but realistically, we may have to look at sharing resources globally, especially when it comes to innovation, because many innovation companies, they work on a volume basis in order to bring costs down and make it more accessible for people. And there may not be one of those types of recyclers or circularity model companies available in sometimes not even in every continent. Sometimes it's, there's one or two companies in the whole world that specialize in it and everybody just winds up going there. So definitely something that's challenge, but also key.
Yeah, and actually, that a question come to my mind is we see that the business model that are implemented or the activities that are implemented to reach this circular economy goal are very looking like old habits, old ways of selling things, old ways of renting, or that we do what we did 15 years ago. So in the end, according to you, do you think sustainability, circularity mean coming back to old habits?
Definitely. The low quality, low cost type fast fashion, it's okay to want to have trends and want to look good when you step outside of your home, or even maybe when you're in your home, especially during COVID. But what are going to be those pieces that you can just add some touches to or make alterations to, but you can keep these core items in your closet for a very long period of time, is really going to be such a key to driving circularity, because we can't just keep consuming. And while sometimes circularity is viewed as a way to keep fast fashion going, because as long as it's circular, then you can keep it moving, there is always this element of loss or not being able to actually make product be fully circular, because it's either getting discarded into the trash or people aren't passing it on, a few different complex areas. So until we can really build build apparel to be more sustainable, which means slowing down the number of units that are made in the world, then we can really find what's that balancing number of new things that are able to be generated versus things you need to be keeping in your closet for longer periods of time.
Yeah, so finally we have to take back our low-rise jeans from our drawers and wear them again, right?
Yeah.
That's
It's going to be a brave new world, not having to wear sweatpants every day.
Especially because the fashion is always coming back, so it's also a way to ensure the circularity. Yeah. So let's move to a new topic, which is the business model. And we wanted to know, according to the audience, what business model will enable the transition towards circular economy.
Yeah, once again, what business models will enable this transition towards circular economy? So it can be either circular products design, modularity or repairability, or sportswear as a service like renting, reverse logistics and reselling, recycling, upcycling worn garments, or platform economy. So again, you'll have some few seconds to make your vote, make your choice. And Julien, I'll give you back the floor.
Yeah, and while people are answering this very interesting poll, I wanted to ask you, Ciara, according to you, what are the promising business models in circular economy, and why are they promising? What value do you see in this kind of business model?
One of the biggest things I think that goes it gets kind of lost when it comes to circular economy is how critical it is for local companies or not such large, only one available per continent, and you really need more regional accessibility to so many of these different items. Whether it's in your own town, you can repair garments, whether it's secondhand or those are great when it comes to regional. And recycling is where it gets a little challenging, and you have to maybe go to one of those few technology partners that are available in the world. But all of those other items are such wonderful opportunities for smaller businesses locally, because it helps with the volume, because we're all having to wear clothes every day and going through a lot of clothing. So having those reverse logistics, people repairing, people reselling locally is a wonderful option. And then having that more large scale recycling as needed that you wind up having to ship things to. So there's more opportunity in those areas for the regional and small businesses.
Okay, and how does big and international companies like Patagonia address this question of circular business model?
Yeah, so with our with the Warmwear group, we try and in each region have repairs and take backs for secondhand. Right now, repairs are available in every region, but resale is only available in the US, but that is expanding. We want to continue to grow that, so we're not shipping garments everywhere. And if someone purchased something in Europe, it really just stays in Europe for its long life until it ultimately needs to get recycled. And similar with with rentals, that we're hoping to expand that to more regions and make it more accessible for people.
Yeah, thank you. I suggest we have a look at the results of the poll to see that what the audience think is in the line of what you say, but quite also different, because the majority thinks that the circularity comes from the design of the product itself, and that also recycling will be one of the business models that will enable the circular economy. Also, reverse logistics, as you said. What is your opinion about designing circular products that are made for repairability or modularity?
It's so key, and it's something that is very much, it's still in its infancy. Even internally, like trying to work with our design team on setting around guidelines of how do we build product toward repairability and recyclability is a different way of thinking about it, especially for designers. Oftentimes they're told, Their job is to make things of a specific style or to hit a specific price. And so adding the layer of complexity of also add it to be circular is just a whole new world for the design industry, but hopefully a growing one. But most brands, including Patagonia, it's a new filter that we have and we'll continue to expand on and hopefully improve. But it's going to probably take time, I think, for more brands to not only identify what does that mean, what technologies exist you need to design into, but then there's also products that you need different varieties in order of materials to create function, and there are no recyclable options for those types of products today. But how can you make it easier or less complex in the hopes that there will be technology in the future for some of those products? So it's a new frontier for us all, I think, in the apparel world, but hopefully it will get easier with time.
Yes, that's also my next question about the scalability of the business model, because you mentioned the diversity of product, the diversity of materials that we can find in one product that makes recycling difficult. There's also, when it comes to reverse logistics, it adds a lot of logistics. So how business model, circular business model can scale if it's not with only time?
Yeah, so many of the issues are the scale, how much are you able to get back of something to make it make sense in order to keep it local or to make it go more regional. And there's definitely opportunities to keep it local on those small scales for things like secondhand. That's beautiful to have your local shop that you can go to not only give product, but also buy secondhand product. But reverse logistics especially is so complex, and I have never been happier that I don't work in logistics, especially with COVID. Because it does just add all these complexities of when you have volume coming in, how do you manage that high volume input and then continually have a quality output? There are some companies here in the US. We have a company, Rent the Runway, who's planning on going public and being publicly traded, which for a rental company in apparel to be at the growth point where investors are saying, yes, you are profitable, you are big enough to start going public. And then we also have a secondhand platform called ThreadUp. They recently went public. And that's just groundbreaking to see that secondhand and rental platforms are really valid businesses and the consumer has a demand for these things. That was my long answer to your question, sorry.
Thank you. It was actually really interesting. And in the C-Voucher program that I mentioned earlier in this session, we have also some interesting business model and textile business model, including issues regarding the logistics and the supply chain. We have one on the materials actually that developed a material made out of 100% natural fibers that can make today jackets with them. That it is called Frizine. We have Circle, which is in the field of workwear, which propose workwear as a service based on a circular economy with in the future take-back system and reducing the middleman to reduce also the waste and all the logistics. They have inspired also their business with a sportswear company in the Nordics. We have also in the circular economy champions, we had CATCH&DO Fashion, the first fashion factory of the future, allowing a drastic reduction of textile materials waste with digital technology. And we also had another topics on materials with Airbus creation and its irony material that is made from hemp culture byproducts, so giving value to a product that is that wasn't used before the RVX team came. That was the really interesting circular business model that we had on C-Voucher and on circular economy that finally illustrates a bit everything we said during this session on circular economy and circular business model. So just we move on because we talked a lot about business models and habits and way of undertake the circular economy, but we also have at some point to talk about textile and smart textile because they are also growing on the market, and we see more and more smart textile coming up. So I have a question for the audience. So what is a smart textile according to the audience? So we should see a new poll on your screen.
Yes, so again, as Julien said, what is the smart textile for you? So could it be active t-shirts with embedded electronics, or a smart passive function addition, or items from recycled materials, or as you have seen in the first slides, back to the future garments, so shrinking and expanding on demand. So you can't see the end of the sentence here, but the sentence was shrinking and expanding on demand. So yeah,
thank you very much. I had the question now for Ciara while you're answering. So Ciara, according to you and at Patagonia, what textile that you develop at Patagonia?
Yeah, for us, we focus more on the smart passive function, in that we want there to be function in the garment that the consumer doesn't really have to think about, so that technology is really embedded within the product and not very sometimes even conscious to the wearer. Because if you have a t-shirt and it just never smells, then you're just going to wash it less, which will reduce water, reduce power that's used, and you're not something you're probably thinking about. Or if you're feeling cold and something that's light keeps you warm versus like wearing 2 or 3 layers, then you're wearing out fewer items also. So a few different ways of looking at it, but we focus more on the passive function, aside from like our rain gear and our jackets. Those, you know, are working and trying to keep you dry. That should be visible to you.
And we also had the question about items from recycled material. Would you say that textile products or garments made from recycled materials can be considered as smart because they somehow respect the environment? Would you have some examples to share with us?
Yeah, I think that's definitely on the more smart side. I know sometimes people think, oh, if it's going to be smart, it should like charge my cell phone while I'm wearing it, or do something with electronics. But we would definitely consider something made more responsibly that involved technology to make it responsible and innovation. So we've partnered with some companies. One is Borreo. They gather fishing nets that have been torn or damaged in some way. So instead of traditional practice, which is when the net is broken, you can just leave it in the ocean. They're instead encouraging bringing it back to shore and getting paid for the fishing net for recycling it. And then we can make nylon out of that. And we would definitely consider that to be a more smart textile, because you're not only helping the planet, but you're helping a community with another income stream, and then utilizing technology to bridge that gap to make it into a new product again. So that's one of the examples of how we would definitely consider that more of a smart technology.
Okay, thank you. If we have a look at the results of the poll, we see that most of the attendees say that smart textile are textile including active or passive smart function, with a majority of active smart functions. My question was, according to you, is the addition of smart active function compatible with the idea of sustainability that we all have?
I think it could be, especially as technology grows, there may be those embedded electronics, maybe there's solar powering on it, or something that is giving product multiple functions. And it could be part of sustainability. For Patagonia, it doesn't have the durability yet, because we do have very high durability standards. Oftentimes, those garments can only be worn a little bit, or they maybe can't be washed or is user friendly, but we all have to start somewhere. So I think it's really interesting to see where technology and apparel is going, and it's going to probably take some time to see if that could really be a solution for sustainability in the future.
And how many times should it be washed or washable to be compliant with your sustainability criteria?
We like to for our everyday wear, so not necessarily a jacket, because you don't wash a jacket all the time, but for things like anything next to skin, t-shirts, some sweaters, we would like to see at least 50 washes. And that could be, maybe you're wearing it 3 or 4 times before you wash it, maybe less, depending on the garment. But we would like to see at least 50 washes.
Okay, thank you. So that time is a bit running out, so I will speed up a bit. We had in the Smarties project that I mentioned also earlier, some company developing smart textile or smart textile products with active functions. And for most of them, it was really driven by the health and the need to bring some solution to health some pathologies. For example, we had I2M Medical that developed a connected t-shirt dedicated to asthma and to prevent asthma for kids and prevent to monitor it. It was even developed before the COVID crisis, and we know that they applied this technology to prevent COVID. The person ill with COVID to go to ICU. We had Mentec that developed wearables for the detection of stress and emotion, mainly for people that are trouble stalking or that have a lot of stress sometimes in their life. We had Polisic that developed pressure sensors directly inside polymer yarns to make smart blanket. And with the idea to track pressure, one of the applications could be, for example, horse riding to limit the pressure on the horse. And there was company, CP Alert, developing a smart monitoring system in workwear for the warning and the prevention of heat exhaust. So what we see when it comes to smart function is that it addresses very specific topics, and the challenge now, I think, for this kind of company is really to address this sustainability and circularity issue, to see how the electronic component can be reused also at the end of life. I had a very last question for you, Ciara, before the next topic, because we talked a lot about the smart textile, even the sportswear that are high value products, where it's maybe easier to undersee the end of life or to give value to the end of life. What about in the end fast fashion or any non-technical textile?
For non-technical textiles, is the question like what are our challenges? Sorry.
Yeah. So can the sustainability rule you apply to yourself could be applicable to non-technical textile?
Oh yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
we have the exact same challenges that every other fast fashion company has. Like, there's no magical, when you enter Patagonia, problems go away, and we're able to deal with all the product we have out there. Really, most of the product we're selling are more basics. Well, you can, of course, come to Patagonia and wear or purchase a jacket or a sweater and hopefully wear it when you're doing a sport and be comfortable. You might also wear that sweater just going to school, going to work. And our t-shirts, our leggings, our pants, those are oftentimes just everyday wear for most people. So we have the exact same challenges that a fast fashion has, just probably less volume than they're doing. So all of the innovations and technologies that we're looking at are, a big piece of that is for everyday wear. And only a small portion of it is for our more technical outerwear, because those pieces are also lasting much longer. You will, if you like to exercise and be active every day, you're probably going to use up some of your next to skin items much faster than you would your jacket, which you may only just be wearing to and from one place or another. So finding ways to deal with the everyday apparel is a huge priority for us.
Okay, thanks. We mentioned a lot of startups, a lot of also a lot of way of Patagonia working with in its ecosystem. So now the question is how Patagonia works with partners. How could we come to you and for partnership? What do you look for, etc.?
Yeah, so we look for a lot of different things. Sometimes it's circularity innovation. Sometimes it's just a technology we can put in our product. It could be even just design and efficiency equipment or software. It's a whole large variety of innovation that we need to really make our business the most sustainable it can be. And we have a venture capitalism arm called Tin Shed Ventures. And on there, there's ways to connect with the group because we all have different areas of expertise. So while my expertise is in materials, I have colleagues where they are more reverse logistics and looking for innovation in software possibly. So reaching out to Tin Shed is a great way to get connected with the correct person. Because if you come to me with some reverse logistics innovation, I won't really be able to understand probably or know what innovation you're offering, but being able to connect to the correct person is a great way to get started.
Okay, so you suggest to go to these arms you have to connect with the right person at Patagonia. I have now a question to the audience that should pop up. So would you like to know more, to have more information about Patagonia? So I think we will give you some time.
That'd be terrifying.
Do you want to see the results?
Only if it's good news.
Don't worry, it's 100% good news.
I will just leave a few seconds for the last people to answer, and we will start our Q&A session. So I see that we have some questions. I think thanks. So we have a question from Airbix Creation that developed the Irony brand I presented earlier. So the question is, how does Patagonia include new sustainable materials in its supply chain? So as I explained, Airbix is a hemp bioproduct, produced filaments from hemp bioproducts, and they want to know how do you deal with including new innovative materials in your activity?
Yeah, no, that's actually a huge part of my job is finding new raw materials and then getting them plugged into our supply chain. So a lot of it is partnering with the company and what scale are they at, what stage are they at, is it lab scale, small scale, full production, and then looking at our supply chain, because we also are very strict about the partners that we work with. And so who would be those complementary companies that we currently do business with to help work with the innovation to get it into product? And that could be everything from a new polyester chip, and then you need to find an extruder, or it could be a new dye innovation, and then we're going directly to a mill. And oftentimes, sometimes a cut and sew when it comes to tracking waste or different aspects. So depending on what the innovation is how we'll start working with our supply chain partners to find a good connection. Because we want everybody to win in this scenario.
And would company that developing innovative materials could directly get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Because we have some of them in the audience. I can see the questions.
Great. Always happy to make new friends in the space too.
Yeah, that's great. I have a question regarding shoes. So is Patagonia looking at making smart shoes?
Ooh, I'm not gonna lie, anytime footwear comes up, all the material developers, we kind of get a little scared. Footwear is very complex with the glues and the foams and the rubbers and the different materials. So maybe someday we'll get into smart shoes, but I don't see that quite on the horizon yet.
Okay, I will take one last question. The question is about the raw materials. Is there a shortage of raw material at the moment for the textile industry?
There's definitely reduction. So you're seeing a lot of competition depending on what the material source is, and it's complex because either they're producing less or just logistics. They're not able to ship as regularly as they have. But then there are also more complex dynamics with things like what's been happening with cotton, where cotton coming from China due to forced labor concerns. Most of Europe and the US has completely pulled out of cotton from China. And then that pushes everybody to compete over other cotton sources. And that can result in some shortages depending on what kind of cotton you're looking for. There's also been some definite climate changes, and some farms have not had good crops and had a reduced amount for the natural fiber industry. So it's very complex right now. Every day is a different day and never a dull moment when it comes to sourcing and supply. I do think some things will resume more or less back to normal. But we're also hoping this is a great case for circularity, because while you may not be able to get virgin cotton very easily, recycled cotton maybe is a great source. Or similar to the fishing nets with our partner Borreo, that's something that we can be more informed about where it's coming from and have more of a secure supply. We're not relying on a company for new nylon sources. So this could be a great opportunity for more circular materials where you can have a little bit more security that it's going to be available to you regularly.
Great, thank you very much. So thank you for this information. I have a last poll for our audience. So will you be there with us to our next CATCH&DO session? We'll leave you a few seconds to answer these questions before we close. So we will close in 3, 2, 5, 3, 2, 1. Sorry. 0. So what is the program? So as I said at the beginning, you still have access to the replays of the last sessions that started from May 20th to today. You will have access to the session of today in the coming days on our website, still at the Impact Week session, so stay tuned. And I will appoint you for the next sessions. On Tuesday, you will meet Gaël Després from Arjo Wiggins that will talk about paper. Today we talked about textile. On today we talk about paper. We will meet 3 impact investors, Sodexo Ventures, Ship2B Ventures, and Truffle Ventures on Wednesday. And you will have an information session about the sustainable ecosystem we are building around smart marinas across the globe. So I will now thank you very much for your attention. I will thank you again, Ciara, for all the information you gave on the questions you answered. It was really, really interesting to discuss with you. Thank you also, Alice, for being there with us and for animating the question size. And I will conclude by thanking you again, the audience. So it was really, really interesting to have this session. Bye, bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, Ciara. Bye.
Bye.